Welcome to the Dynamic Duel Podcast, a weekly show where we review superhero films and debate the superiority between Marvel and DC by comparing their characters in stat-based battle simulations. I'm Johnny DC.
And I'm his twin brother, Marvelous Joe.
And in this episode, we are reviewing Justice League versus the Fatal Five. It's a direct-to-video animated feature from DC.
If you're listening to this, you don't need to watch the movie. It's an hour long, and it's not that great. But we will be talking about how not great it is later on in this episode.
Why are we even doing this episode? Why are we even reviewing it?
We're just killing time, man, until the Avengers Endgame review in the next episode.
I guess so. We'll get into our review later on in the episode. Before that, we're going to break down the news items from the past week, of which there was a final Dark Phoenix trailer.
Right.
Which I think it's pretty early for a final trailer.
Yeah, you would think that the final trailer wouldn't be out for like another month or so, but they're releasing it early, I guess, probably so they could get the preview in front of the Avengers Endgame movie.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. And then we also got our first look at Swamp Thing for the DC Universe television series.
Yeah, just a quick little teaser.
Yeah, it's pretty quick, pretty interesting though. Feel free to skip around in our show. We put the segment times in our episode description so you can listen to whatever topic you want to.
Right, we want to give a huge thank you to Velvet Hammer 56 and Fire Retardant for giving us reviews on iTunes. We also like to thank everybody else who rated us on iTunes. We are just 2 ratings away from getting to the big halfway mark in our goal of 200 ratings on Apple Podcasts and iTunes. Because once we get to 200, that's when we become eligible to become official critics on the Rotten Tomatoes website and have our reviews count toward the official tomato meters for those movies. So it's a huge goal of ours. We're only just 2 away from the big 100. So which one of you guys is going to step up and get us to the big 100?
It could be you.
You could be a hero today.
Our hero, at least, at the very least.
Speaking of heroes, we want to give another huge big thank you to Jason Brownlee, who recently joined us on Patreon and is now getting access to all of the blooper episodes that we put out on that site every month. If you guys want to go ahead and join us on Patreon as well, go ahead and go to patreon.com/dynamicduel, and you'll get access to all of our new content as well as our back catalog of content. It's only $2 a month, so hopefully pretty affordable, and there's a whole lot of fun to be had on that site. So thank you again to Jason Brownlee, and thank you to whoever else decides to join that Patreon party.
Yeah, you guys don't want to miss out.
So with that out of the way,
quick to the No Prize.
A No Prize is an award Marvel used to give out up until the 90s to fans. Our version, the Dynamic Duel No Prize, is a digital award we post on social media. We personally draw for those who we feel gave the best answer to our question of the week.
Last week's question was, which hero or heroes do you think will die in Avengers Endgame? Which is coming out this Thursday. What? Place your bets now as to which one of these answers is actually going to be correct.
Ooh, my money's on, I don't know, none of them. But honorable mention goes to Salvador Martinez, who thinks that Thanos will kill Steve and that Tony will avenge Steve. Honorable mention also goes to Mitch Phipps, who thinks that Cap will die, Iron Man will quit, Thor will explore the universe with Captain Marvel, and that Thanos will also die.
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping Thanos dies.
He better.
Yeah, I know, what a dick. Honorable mention also goes to Carmen Rodriguez, who said that Cap and Iron Man will die, and Captain Marvel will be killed by Thanos.
And she also thinks that Scarlet Witch and Vision will die too. That's a lot of death.
That is a lot of death, but I mean, Scarlet Witch and Vision are getting their own TV show, so
it's plausible that a lot of these heroes will die, except for maybe like Iron Man, Cap, and Thor, but then they're all just brought back to life the same way the other heroes will be brought back to life at the end of this movie.
Because death means nothing in Marvel.
Not when it comes to the Infinity Gauntlet. Honorable mention goes to Jeremy Orr, who says Cap will die, and that Thor leaves to lead his people, and that Iron Man starts a family. And he said maybe Hulk dies too.
And I think that was my favorite answer. Like, of all of our answers, I think that's what will actually happen.
Oh, you do you?
Okay.
I don't know what I mean by that.
All right. Honorable mention also goes to the Inkle Do podcast, I think I'm pronouncing that right, who said that Cap dies and Falcon takes up his mantle, which if they do that in this film, though, they're going to have to change the name of the Falcon and Winter Soldier television series on Disney+.
To Captain America and the Winter Soldier.
Right.
Honorable mention also goes to Kenneth McNeese Jr., who said that they all will die.
Oh, jeez.
And that Thanos will win again, and it'll be up to the next generation of heroes, including the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, and the Eternals, to try to stop Thanos again. Which is a pretty interesting theory.
That would be insane.
It wouldn't happen, but I also really like that idea.
Yeah. Kieran Pomare gave the answer that Deadpool shows up and fights Thanos for eternity because they're both immortal. But also, Iron Man and Captain America die.
Honorable mention goes to CJ Kraft for saying that Tony dies, Cap retires, and Gamora returns back from the dead.
Honorable mention also goes to Ken Johnson, who said that Cap, Rhodey, Hawkeye, and Hank Pym all die.
It's possible those are all correct, except for maybe Hawkeye, who is getting his own show on Disney Plus after this. But I could totally see War Machine and Hank Pym also dying.
Colby Henches gave the answer of Nebula, who dies saving Gamora.
That's just heartbreaking.
That is.
Like, I feel that's going to happen just due to the arc of their sisterhood that they've had throughout these films.
One of them sacrifices themselves for the other.
Right. And I could totally see Nebula sacrificing herself for Gamora, especially considering that she had quite a substantial role in the Infinity Gauntlet comics. And they're going to have to come up with something just as substantial for her to do here, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Final honorable mention goes to George Cornettis, who says that Cap and Iron Man are both going to sacrifice themselves while reminiscing about the good old times. That's really heartbreaking, too. I almost shed a tear reading that, because that would just be so beautiful and so perfect, but I would literally cry my ass off in the theater.
There's so many people who said Cap. I almost hope that Captain America doesn't die, so like everyone's surprised.
Like he's the only one that doesn't die, and
Right.
then he saves everybody else, and then still stays alive at the end of the movie.
Maybe.
That would certainly be a surprise. But the winners of this week's No Prize are Dustin Ray Balcom and Caleb Albers, who gave the answer, no one dies. And I give the award to them because the answer made me laugh. Essentially, Caleb said, they will all live forever and be happy and take on new bad guys for the rest of the actors' lives. And he added, if you can't tell, I'm not emotionally ready for this movie yet.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people are.
I'm certainly not. I don't want to see anybody die. But I know it's probably going to happen. But I like to live with Caleb Albers and with Balcom in our own little fantasy land where these actors never age and just play the same characters for all eternity.
Eventually, the sun is going to absorb the planet Earth and we're all going to die. It's not going to happen.
And until that happens,
Why does any
these
of this
actors
even
need to
matter?
keep playing these characters.
Okay, yes.
Congrats again to Dustin Ray Balcom and Caleb Albers. If you, the listener, want a chance at winning your own No Prize, go ahead and stay tuned to later on this episode when we will be asking another question of the week. And now that that's done,
On to the news.
So in a surprising turn of events, we got a new Dark Phoenix trailer that came out last week. They're calling it the final trailer, as we mentioned earlier. That's pretty surprising, considering the movie doesn't come out for a few more months. So you think that they would want to take advantage of that last month or those last few weeks leading up to the movie. There was quite a bit shown in this one. Actually, I really like the way it started off with the X door opening up and revealing the hangar to the Blackbird, or to the X-Jet, or whatever they're calling it here. This new X-Jet looks pretty badass, though. I really like the interior of it. And they look really sweet going on this space mission. I got super excited at the start of this. Because, like, what have we been clamoring for this entire podcast? We were saying X-Men in space. Take the X-Men in space.
Yeah.
And, you know, at least for a scene, we know that we're going to get that. And I think this looks to be one of the more exciting scenes of the entire film.
Yeah, they debuted footage of this opening scene at CinemaCon a few weeks ago. And everyone loved it. They said the scene was really good.
Yeah, who knows? Like, this might actually be a good movie.
No, I doubt it.
We're not going to go that far yet.
I'm sure the scene will be good, but let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, it looks pretty action-packed as they go and they save these astronauts. There are some confusing moments, like how Jean Grey is able to survive in the vacuum of space as she's, like, sealing the shuttle.
Oh, as it's falling apart.
As it's falling apart around her. But she might be telekinetically, like, holding in the oxygen within the cockpit or something like that. I don't know. Science. Either way, Nightcrawler saves the astronauts, and Phoenix is bombarded by this cosmic radiation / cosmic entity. It looks like Sophie Turner's giving a pretty good performance through all the special effects as this cosmic radiation / entity is coming into her. What's interesting is that, like, the final shot for this trailer reveals that radiation kind of takes the shape of a bird, which is interesting because in the last X-Men movie we got, X-Men Apocalypse, Jean Grey was able to manifest the Phoenix Force from within herself, unlocking her potential with the help of Professor X to fight Apocalypse.
I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, and she manifested a bird, a fiery bird. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
So I'm wondering exactly what this energy is. Because if it takes the shape of a bird, that leads you to conclude that it is a Phoenix Force, a cosmic entity going inside of her, even though she already had it in the last film.
Yeah, it doesn't explain where that came from.
Right.
They're ruining their own continuity once again.
I mean, the X-Men films have always done that, which is one of the most annoying things about the franchise. But they've been pretty consistent between the timelines that they've created. Like, for the most part, X-Men 2 and X-Men 3 followed the continuity set up by the first 2000 X-Men film. And for the most part, Days of Future Past and X-Men Apocalypse followed the continuity that was set up by X-Men First Class. You had these two timelines, which for the most part have been true to themselves. But now here we have this discrepancy.
We'll see if they address it in the film. I hope they do, because otherwise, what's the point of even watching X-Men Apocalypse?
Right? I want to know who Jessica Chastain's character is. We still don't know that. Among like 3 different trailers that we've had for this movie, I still have no idea who she's playing.
She seems like she's the mental manifestation of the Phoenix Force.
I did not get that vibe. Explain that.
Like when the Phoenix Force goes into Jean, she communicates through Jean through this mental projection of Jessica Chastain's character.
That's what you think?
Yeah.
That is an interesting theory.
She's like a ghost, like no one else could see her.
Did you read this somewhere?
No, this is just what I interpreted from seeing the trailer.
That's a solid theory. However, there is a moment where Jessica Chastain says that everything that this energy has come into contact with has been destroyed except for you. So she's referring to this cosmic entity in the third person, not the first.
Yeah, she just refers to herself in a non-binary third person point of view.
Okay.
I don't know.
Sure. No, that's definitely interesting. We see Jean struggling to control her newfound abilities that this entity has given her, but apparently she just likes unleashing the power. It really makes me think that they're going down that path of the Phoenix Force cosmic entity as a separate thing that is actually controlling her from within, because the Phoenix Force likes to feel alive. It likes to experience the feeling of being human in the comics, and that's why it chooses Jean Grey as its host to try to feel these things. And when Jean Grey says it feels good, that's most likely telling of the nature of the Phoenix Force itself.
Yeah, because I remember you mentioning in our Raven versus Phoenix duel episode that the Phoenix was like the culmination of Jean's power.
Yeah, the full realization of the potential of her powers.
Right, but they had to like retcon that.
Right. Yeah, Chris Claremont initially wanted the Phoenix to be Jean at her most powerful. But then when she died in the Dark Phoenix saga, they wanted to bring her back, and so had to retcon it, saying that Phoenix Force was a separate entity that was mimicking Jean and enjoyed the experience of doing that. A few of the shots in this trailer we've already seen, like Quicksilver running on debris, which still doesn't make sense to me, and Beast throwing people around. There was like a really creepy shot with Nightcrawler.
Yeah, that was creepy.
I don't know who he's talking to in this shot, but he's like smiling and he has those big, huge fangs. It just looks like scary as hell, honestly.
It does look scary.
I guess that's what Nightcrawler would be like. Part of his whole character appeal is that he is the devil, a demon-looking guy who acts like an angel, basically. But I just wouldn't want to hang around him in real life if he ever smiled. Some of the last shots in the trailer look pretty action-packed, kind of like the end of X-Men 3. It looks very derivative of that, except this time it's Cyclops that approaches her instead of Wolverine.
Yeah.
And she does something to him. I'm guessing she's turning off his optic blast so that he can see her for real.
That happened in the comics, right?
Correct. And that'll be a touching moment if it actually happens. I mean, it did happen in X-Men 3, The Last Stand. She turned off his optic blast for like a second, but then she straight up murdered him.
Off camera.
So
dumb.
God. But it also looks like she invades Cerebro too while Professor X is jacked into it. Or that might happen during the scene when Jean Grey absorbs the entity to begin with.
Right.
Either way, did this trailer get you more or less excited for the Dark Phoenix film?
I do think it's the best trailer that we've received so far. There's a lot of things that they didn't need to show in the last trailer, like Mystique's death and stuff like that, you know?
Right, yeah, that last trailer was shit.
This should have been that last trailer.
Right. And then they should have another one that shows us who Jessica Chastain is playing.
Yeah.
But yeah, nothing else to see here. We'll see what the film's like when it comes out on June 7th. And see if they have another final trailer, which I think they might.
Final trailer.
Yes.
So moving on to DC news. Last week we didn't get a trailer, but we got something of a sneak peek. It's just a quick video. It's only like 45 seconds long of Swamp Thing emerging from the water. But the music and the setup and just the tone is pretty awesome, I have to say.
Swamp Thing is a cool looking character, I have to say, and he looks pretty sweet here. I really like the way they did the costume, even though it is nearly identical to the way they handled the creature effects for Man-Thing in the 2005 sci-fi Man-Thing movie.
Yeah, it's a good thing no one saw that, though.
That's true. All 10 of us know what's up with this, though. If you, the listener, have not seen 2005's Man-Thing, don't watch it. It's horrible, even if you're a fan of the character. The only good thing about Man-Thing is the action at the very end of the movie. Yeah,
I haven't seen the film. I'm sure we'll review it at some point. But anyway, It's really amazing how much of Derek Mears you could still see through like this vinage.
Well, he has great skeletal structure for this role.
He does, and he just has like these pointy elf-like ears, and you can just see like his mouth and his chin and his brow. It's all very well done. Really great makeup effects here.
One of these days, we're going to have to do a Swamp Thing versus Man-Thing fight. Although, I don't know, maybe we should put Swamp Thing against Groot. I'm not sure what the better fight right now. I think Man-Thing is a little bit more powerful. Well, he's a little bit more indestructible than Groot. And we all know that Swamp Thing is practically indestructible as well. So we'll see what we do with that.
Probably this year. Probably
around the time the show is released.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's plan for that. But yeah, back to Derek Mears. It's just great casting, it looks like. I've been so impressed with all of the DC Universe's casting.
Yeah.
So far.
Well, there was the news that came out this past week where Bruce Wayne was cast in Titan Season 2.
Yeah, we didn't really talk about that last week. Ian Glenn from Game of Thrones, who plays Jorah Mormont, has been cast as Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, which is not the first person I would have picked, honestly.
No, he's old. He's pushing 60, I think.
Yeah.
And I always imagined that Bruce Wayne was like maybe 15 years older than Dick Grayson. Not like 30 years older.
Yeah, it's a little strange, especially since there was like a behind the scenes set video that showed that he didn't like dye his hair brown or black or whatever. Nope. He still has that blonde hair. He still has that partial bald spot on top of his head. He looks like an old blonde version of Bruce Wayne.
An old bald blonde Bruce Wayne.
That's a little bit weird, yeah?
It is very unsettling.
Especially since this is the DC universe. You know, like you would think that they'd be able to nail the look of their characters within these shows.
It seems to me like they're really going for a Dark Knight Returns version of Bruce Wayne. Just this elderly, balding version.
Even more so than they went with Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
Who himself was kind of like an older Bruce Wayne.
And you know, I love that book. The Dark Knight Returns is just a fascinating work by Frank Miller. But let's get away from that version of the character for a while. It seems like DC keeps trying to push that version.
And maybe that's why Matt Reeves is going with the younger version in his film that he'll be directing.
Yeah. At least with Jorah Mormont, like, he's not competition for whoever Matt Reeves casts.
That's true. And Ian Glenn actually does have a fantastic voice for the character of Batman and Bruce Wayne. I really like his voice.
Yeah, he does have a good voice, but can you really imagine him saying, "I'm Batman"?
Yes, actually. I could hear it in my head.
Jorah Mormont.
Yeah, it's deep.
I mean, I could hear it, but it doesn't sound good. It doesn't sound like Bruce Wayne.
Just wait, man.
It doesn't sound like Batman.
Sounds good in my head. Sounds great in my head. The voice will be fine. It's just the oldness and the blondness and the baldness that I have a hard time dealing with.
It's just not Bruce Wayne's look, you know? But all this brings us to our question of the week. What other Game of Thrones actor would be perfect for a DC film or television role? And what character would they play?
So many great actors in the Game of Thrones series.
Oh my gosh.
I recently binged the entire series on HBO. Watched the whole thing for the first time
like in
these
2
past
weeks.
few months. No, it was like 4 weeks.
Okay.
It took a really long time. But I absolutely love the show. Tons of great talent, untapped potential with actors that could definitely join the DC cinematic universe. Marvel too, but this question specifically pertains to DC, since Warner Media owns HBO.
And those actors work for Warner Brothers.
Right.
So it might be an easier transition to go into a DC film than a Marvel.
Right.
So post your answer to our Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, or email us at dynamicduelpodcast@gmail.com. We will pick our favorite answer and draw that person a Dynamic Duel No Prize that we'll post to social media next week.
Yep, and with all the news out of the way, let's go ahead and get into our review of this DC animated film, Justice League versus the Fatal Five.
Okay, so if you haven't seen Justice League versus the Fatal Five yet, heads up, this will be a spoiler review. It was released for digital download a few weeks ago, and the Blu-ray dropped last week. It's also streaming on DC Universe, if you haven't subscribed to that, which I am, and thank goodness for that, because I would have been kind of pissed if I had to pay extra to rent this film. I mean, it's not that it's bad, it's that honestly, like, I just didn't care about anything that happened in it.
It was semi-boring and uneventful because the Fatal Five are such powerful, fantastic characters from the comic books. I remember reading one of your books drawn by Ed McGuinness where the Fatal Five went up against Superman, and they were really cool. And here they were a little underwhelming, which is a great word to describe this entire film.
Well, it's like, yeah, the Fatal Five are cool, but to me, they're not the most interesting of characters.
Well, they're interesting in that they're so powerful, right?
They are very powerful, and that is interesting, but that doesn't make for the most well-rounded characters, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
My excitement level for this wasn't as high as maybe some other DC stuff, like, which is weird because I feel like this film was marketed as this like big deal for DC fans. I should have cared more about it. You know, it uses the same voice actors and animation style from DC's animated universe that was established by producer Bruce Timm in shows like Batman the Animated Series and Justice League Unlimited. And the film also put the spotlight on more obscure and new characters like Mr. Terrific, Starboy, and the Green Lantern Jessica Cruz. Like, I've always been a fan of the Michael Holt version of Mr. Terrific. He's like one of the smartest characters in DC Comics. And his T-Spheres, if I could have one superpower, it just might be having T-Spheres. Those things are awesome.
Yeah, there's like these balls that kind of hover around Mr. Terrific that he can use for a variety of effects. They're like mini computers, but they're like liquid metal. So he could like punch you with them, or he could like shield himself with them. They're just really versatile.
Shoot lasers, and deploy gas. They're just amazing. Interface with computers.
I can't wait to do a dual episode with Mr. Terrific.
Oh yeah, me neither. I was hoping we would do one around this episode, but the way the schedule panned out, it just didn't work.
Right. Which is too bad, but we'll get to it sometime soon.
So Mr. Terrific is cool, but like this borderline schizophrenic version of Starboy wasn't one I grew up reading about. And like, sorry, but I still don't see the appeal in another Green Lantern from Earth in regards to Jessica Cruz. Like, I understand that she earned her Green Lantern ring in a unique way and is an empowering character, but to me, Green Lantern is still Hal Jordan. Or maybe Jon Stewart if we're going to be like nostalgia-driven by the old cartoons. Which, if I'm being honest, like the old television cartoons are great, but Bruce Timm's newer original story stuff, like Justice League Gods and Monsters or Batman and Harley Quinn, I don't really need it.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't yet seen his take on the Killing Joke, but I've heard how it was ruined by his Batman-Batgirl romance. It's like he's writing fan fiction. Like mediocre, overly violent, somewhat perverted fan fiction.
Well, there's no real perversion, I don't think, in this movie.
No, I mean, Starboy did get naked, like, in the first 10 minutes of the film.
Yeah, that was kind of weird. Like, there's no reason for that.
Exactly. It's stuff like that where I'm like, why, Bruce Timm, why? You know? This film's story is not from the comics, and its characters, like, aren't even known for being in the Justice League. In the comics, Mr. Terrific is in the Justice Society. Starboy had a stint in the Justice Society, but is primarily known for being in the Legion of Superheroes. And Miss Martian is a Titan, you know?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering about Miss Martian. I was like, I don't even know her origin, really.
She's like a sympathetic white Martian posing as a green Martian.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, she's pretty cool. Again, not really a member of the Justice League, though.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm probably being nitpicky. You know, if this film has any redeeming qualities, it would probably be its attempt to address mental health disorders. The film's two primary protagonists, Jessica Cruz and Starboy, suffer from PTSD and mild schizophrenia, respectively. You know, Jessica was involved in this horrifying incident, and her arc involves her trying to cope and overcome the fear and anxiety she's forced to live with and come through as this courageous superhero. She's a pretty fascinating character in that respect. Like, personally, I wish they would have just gone a little further with that angle and showed a little bit more of her struggle. Heck, you could have just done a Green Lantern movie only with Jessica Cruz.
Yeah.
Like, I may not have been too eager to see it, but I would have respected it a lot more for sure.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. They only just briefly touched upon her struggles with her mental health.
At the very beginning,
and it was palpable, actually.
Starboy's schizophrenia was a little bit more of a challenge to grasp in this film. Like, we were told of his mental condition, but a lot of his issues could have been interpreted as misunderstandings due to his time displacement.
That's what I thought. I didn't
yeah.
know he had actual schizophrenia. I knew he needed some kind of like mental injection or something like that, but I thought that had to do with some effect that time traveling has on the brain.
No, the character actually does suffer from a mild case of schizophrenia, you know?
Okay.
But like, it's not far-fetched to assume that an actual time traveler from the future could be confused for someone with schizophrenia. So I don't think Starboy's mental health disorder was handled as well as Jessica Cruz's, especially since the stakes set up for the character, that his mind would like slowly get worse, never really happened.
Right.
Like, that's probably a good thing, but if the filmmakers wanted to, they could have totally shown us like the true struggle of someone with schizophrenia during the scene where Jessica, Batman, and Miss Martian go into Starboy's head. Like, that scene was much more conventional exposition than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, it wasn't really mind-bending at all. It was pretty straightforward. You're absolutely right. They could have done so much more with that. And honestly, a lot of his schizophrenia stuff seemed kind of like it was played for laughs.
Which is unfortunate, because there's a lot of people who suffer from mental disorders in the world, you know?
Yeah.
And while I'm glad and proud that the filmmakers had Jessica ultimately overcome her fear and fully realize her potential at the end, in my opinion, having Starboy willingly sacrifice himself at the end could be interpreted as suicide, which is not a good look, DC. Like, it was a noble death for sure.
Yeah.
But it was also like a weird way to end the character's arc.
Definitely.
I mean,
especially one who, was off of his meds and everything.
Right. Like, could he not have held the sun together from the outside until it restabilized?
This is true, because he has the power to affect the mass of objects. Why couldn't he hold the sun together from outside the sun?
Exactly.
Huh. Well, this movie kind of sucks the more I think about it.
There's just some major problems with it. I think their intentions were in the right place, but ultimately it's just poor execution all around, I think. I mean, the voice cast did great. I guess there's that. Jessica Cruz was voiced by Diane Guerrero, and she plays Crazy Jane in the Doom Patrol.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And is she pretty good in that show?
Yeah. Like, she's almost sort of like the central character of the show so far from the team. Like, more episodes have dealt with her and what she's going through than the other characters.
Gotcha.
For Diane Guerrero, like, it's probably like an actor's dream role because she plays so many different personalities. And she does a pretty good Jessica Cruz.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it was serviceable, despite the fact that she may have done a good job with what she was given script-wise. The character itself did not stand out all that much.
So you're not aboard the Jessica Cruz hype train?
I don't know enough about her to be on that. I'm sure she's better in the comics, but being a Marvel guy, I'm not about to pick up a DC comic. Let's be real here. She was pretty cool action-wise toward the end. That's one of the most impressive action scenes I've ever seen with a Green Lantern.
Oh my gosh.
And it really goes to show how overpowered a Green Lantern can be with the right lazy writer. They could just take on everybody and everything.
Yeah, she went into like God mode at the end there.
Yeah, she really held her own against the Fatal Five, despite the fact that the Oa battery was drained by the Emerald Empress, and like her eye had way more power than her ring could have.
Okay, that's a big problem I had. I wasn't going to mention this until later, but if the Emerald Empress drained the central power battery on Oa, which she did,
yes,
the Green Lanterns would not have their power.
Right.
Their power would have been drained.
Exactly.
What the heck?
Yeah, just stupid choices like that were written into this script that don't make any sense. There are plot holes within this film that I did not appreciate.
So many. Those aren't the only ones.
How the hell did Jessica Cruz get back to Earth?
Well, she could create like space jumps.
Yeah, but she woke up in bed back on Earth. She wasn't Oa. She like almost died. She managed to unbreak her leg. She woke up in her bed and then went to go fight the Fatal Five on Earth.
That's true.
What the fuck?
I have no idea. I can't answer that question, and it frustrates me. But I definitely am not yet on board the Jessica Cruz train yet because of this film. She's becoming more and more popular. Like, she's going to be in the new DC Superhero Girls, like, revamp.
Oh, really?
Yeah. She was a member of the Justice League for a long time in the comics. Now she's a member of Justice League Odyssey, along with, like, Starfire and Darkseid.
Okay. Well, maybe we'll do a dual episode with her down the line and get to know her a little bit better.
Yeah, maybe. Moving on to Starboy, he was voiced by Elias Gable. I'm not too familiar with him. Apparently, he played one of the Dothraki in Game of Thrones seasons 1 and 2.
Okay.
But that's all I really know about him. He did a good job as well. But again, I don't think the character was very well written.
Honestly, when he first showed up, I had no idea who Starboy was. I didn't understand really what he was doing. I didn't understand where he was coming from, because you don't know his motivations, because it's kind of mysterious. Because the story starts about midway through what the story actually is. It doesn't give you a whole lot of backstory. You don't even really get a title card in this film.
No, not until the very end.
So you're kind of learning his story as you go, and it turns out his story is not really that interesting.
Not really. I mean, he was trying to stop the Fatal Five from going into the time ship. Then once he was here, he was like, I need to find Green Lantern. I need to find Limelight.
Yeah, but I never understood like how he knew that he needed to find Green Lantern.
Well, because the other Fatal Five members were trapped on Oa. That's why the 3 that escaped in the time ship were going back to this time.
And he knew that the other 3 Fatal Five members were trying to rescue the other 2?
Well, it was like a quick line drop by Saturn Girl at the very beginning of the film, where she says, I just read their minds. They're coming for the time ship to get the other members of the Fatal Five. And Brainiac 5 is like, that's very logical of them. I'll set a trap in the time ship.
Yeah, but without context, those words don't make any sense.
Yep,
as you're watching them in the film.
That's fair. I had to watch it twice before I understood what was going on there.
Okay. But still, why does Starboy call Green Lantern Limelight?
I have no clue.
Just to confuse matters?
Yep. Yeah, I think so.
Is that a symptom of his schizophrenia? Calling things by not their name?
I don't know.
It seems like it was a lazy way to add intrigue to the story.
21 Bridges, Limelight.
Yeah, exactly.
Ugh.
I guess 21 Bridges was in reference to Portland, because I guess that city has 21 bridges or something.
Yeah.
But it's almost like the movie was trying to be clever, and it just failed miserably.
It was not clever at all.
It was just lazy writing.
Yeah. Which is a shame, because Starboy has always been like a cool character. Like of the few Legion of Superhero comics like I've read and owned, it goes like Cosmic Boy, Saturn Girl, and like Starboy. Like Starboy is really cool. I always liked the ability to control gravity in a sense, mass, increase mass. I thought that was a really cool power to have.
I always liked Chameleon Boy, and he was pretty cool in this movie. He showed up for a brief second inside Starboy's mind.
Yeah, there were a few cameos from some other Legionnaires. Chameleon Boy, Dawnstar, there was Mon-El, Shadowlass, and there was one I didn't recognize. I think his name was Tyrock. So there's definitely like some Easter eggs here.
If you're a Legion of Superheroes fan.
Which like not even many DC fans can claim, because their comic hasn't been around for a really long time. Like they're just setting up like the Legion in the Doomsday Clock series going on right now. Saturn Girl is in the present.
Okay.
And it's like we haven't interacted with these characters in quite a while. I don't think it was well done. Specifically for Starboy. There's so much more to the character. Like his outfit is like a star map of the multiverse created by Brainiac 5. Little interesting things like that. Like you don't even know about watching this film.
Yeah, his costume did look pretty cool. It kind of reminded me of Genis-Vell's, Captain Marvel's son in the comics, because he had kind of like that Starfield skin. And same with Quasar. Quasar has a cape that is all starry like that.
If there was one character that I thought they did pretty well, it was Mr. Terrific. Again,
yes,
just because of the T-spheres. And he helped progress the plot along pretty nicely just because, of his sciencing of things.
Yeah, and the way they demonstrated his power set within this film was pretty damn amazing. I was like, is there anything Mr. Terrific can't do?
Nope. He's the 3rd smartest man in DC. Miss Martian was also pretty well used. I mean, but when you have all the powers, it's kind of hard not to be put to good use. She's essentially another version of Martian Manhunter. So,
but she has the ability to render other people intangible?
No, she doesn't. I don't know how they got away with that in this film.
But there was a train that was supposed to crash into these innocent people, and she like made them intangible, and the train went right through all of them.
Right.
Like,
I know.
Like Shadowcat.
I saw that and I was like, no. No. That's not how that would have happened.
If she's a sympathetic white Martian character, why does she act like a Earth teenage human? Because John Jones doesn't act like a normal human.
I think she had like amnesia, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
Yeah, so like she didn't know who she was. She thought she was a green Martian when she saw Martian Manhunter. She just had to adopt like the personality of what she experienced while she was here on Earth.
Okay, I see.
Now the 3 characters that I thought were gonna be like the star of this film, Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, voiced by Kevin Conroy, George Newbern, and Susan Eisenberg, respectively.
They were cameos.
They were absolutely cameos. Like, that's why I wanted to watch this film, was for those 3 characters and those voices, just to experience them again. But, like, Superman got his ass beat, like, right away, pretty much. Wonder Woman, like, she attacked Jessica Cruz early on. Like, that may not have been the best way to alleviate Jessica's, like, anxiety.
Right?
That was so dumb.
It was really dumb.
Really dumb.
And Batman was just kind of a dick.
It was really interesting that his arc involved coming to terms with accepting teenage superheroes.
Yeah, exactly. That's
his
arc.
Worst character. That is the worst character to do that with.
Because he employs teenage characters in the Bat family.
Multiple teenagers.
I guess employs is not the right word, but he recruits them.
Yeah, and he trains them. Horrible decision making here.
And he was a shitty ass detective, because when he first came across Naked Starboy, he should have realized that he was a Legionnaire because he had his Legionnaire flight ring on. Unless in this continuity, they don't know who the Legion of Superheroes are yet.
Well, I mean, technically, this continuity should be like the Batman and Superman Adventures Justice League Unlimited continuity.
Yeah, in which the Legion of Superheroes did make an appearance.
Yeah, they've met before. Who the hell knows what's going on? I don't know. I don't.
This movie's getting worse by the sentence.
But really, I think we mentioned this before. The ones who suffer the most are the title characters of the Fatal Five. Like, two of them are barely even in the movie.
Oh, Emerald Empress and Validus? Yeah. Well, they were in prison for most of it. But part of the appeal of seeing a movie with the Fatal Five is to see, you know, the Fatal Five all working together. And we only got just a little bit of that.
Yeah, it's a crime. It's a total crime. Because honestly, like, outside of, you know, bringing the team back together, they don't really have any other motivation once they are together. All of a sudden, it's like, oh, let's blow up the sun. You know, it's just so last minute motivation. That's like, all right, you know, by that time you're just going with the flow of the story. The film is so not invested in these characters that when Jessica Cruz brings down that facility they're in on top of the Fatal Five, we don't see them again. We don't know what happened to them. That collapse.
Holy crap!
That
You're
collapse.
right.
Yeah, that would not have killed them.
No, it wouldn't have.
They have characters like Validus on there who like can crack a planet. He's not going to like be taken out by a building falling on him.
You're absolutely correct, because she immediately goes out into space to deal with the issue of the sun.
Right.
And we never see the Fatal Five again. Holy crap.
We don't see them like being imprisoned or sent back to the future or anything like that. We have no idea what happened to them.
Oh my God. That didn't even click with me until right now.
But see, like, because you didn't even notice it, it just shows how invested in those characters you weren't.
Right, you're absolutely right.
Let's get into the story highlights, of which there weren't very many.
Okay.
The opening scene, you know, it introduces the time travel element. Again, it's sort of like a blink and you'll miss it kind of moment.
I'm trying to figure out exactly what Brainiac did here. His goal was to mess with their time machine so that it would trap the Fatal Five within the past if they were to use the time machine.
No.
But it's... No? Okay, what was it then?
No, if they tried to activate the time machine, they would just be frozen in time. That's what he was trying to do. He didn't have enough time for his hack to, like, fully load until Starboy, like, brought them into Earth's orbit.
Okay, but then the program worked, so why weren't they frozen?
They were.
Oh, and then Mr. Terrific unlocked them, basically.
Accidentally. Yeah, they were just trying to find out what it was and what was inside of it.
So if Superman and Mr. Terrific didn't do that, there wouldn't even be a movie. There would be no problem whatsoever.
Exactly.
They should have just left that shit alone.
They should have. They should have. Now they learned their lesson. So the ship ended up in Metropolis. Starboy ended up in Gotham. He didn't have his quadroclozapine, so he ended up getting naked in a pharmacy, and Batman had to put him in Arkham. Again, I think there was a different way you could have done that without him.
Acting as such a fool?
Yeah, just weirdly written, I think. The film jumps 10 months later after that without explaining.
And I had no idea.
It does, right?
Yeah.
There's no like title over that says 10 months later or anything like that.
Yeah. There's just like brief statements made later on where it was like, oh, 10 months ago during the crash. And I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, exactly.
I had to do like a double take.
It's just weird because like it cuts to Jessica Cruz having a dream, which is actually a memory.
Uh-huh.
It's her origin story.
It's pretty horrific.
It is, and you can understand where her PTSD comes from.
Right, I guess her friends and she were hiking in the woods alone at night, and they get ambushed by this murderous guy who shoots and kills her friends and tries to shoot and kill her.
Yeah, he was burying a body.
Yeah, that was pretty creepy. But again, like they don't really explain what that is. I guess you can safely assume that it was a memory, but they never explicitly say that. So at first I thought she was just having a nightmare. And then later on it said that she had survivor's guilt, but I wasn't necessarily assuming that those two things were connected. Unless, of course, I knew the character. You almost kind of need to know the characters in this movie before you watch this movie. You need to know who Starboy is.
Yeah.
Because they really give no character development.
Right. And with Jessica Cruz, like, I could totally understand where you're coming from because of the way the dream resolved was her just falling. And they don't say, if it was a memory, how did she survive that?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
It's just so poorly done.
I'm guessing that's when the ring found her or something like that, and she ended up not dying.
Okay, so with Jessica Cruz, it's complicated. Do you know about the crime syndicate? They're like evil versions of the Justice League.
Oh, yeah.
Like Ultraman, Owlman.
Yes.
The Green Lantern version of the crime syndicate is called Power Ring.
Uh-huh.
So when the crime syndicate invaded Earth, Power Ring ended up dying, and the ring went off to find another host, one who felt great fear, because it's like a reverse of Green Lantern.
Oh.
And because she had PTSD and such high anxiety, the ring found her.
Okay.
And it's weird because the ring is actually the sentient being, and it controls the host, as opposed to the other way around with the Green Lantern ring. I'm not surprised they didn't like really go into any of this. And just the fact that like she's already a Green Lantern probably leads to so much more confusion for people who don't know the character.
Oh yeah. I was confused.
It's like, what, why, when? Okay.
I guess she just is now?
But moving along, Mr. Terrific opens the ship. There's a huge battle, which is pretty cool. Superman gets sliced, which was pretty crazy. So much blood.
Yeah.
Starboy sees this on the TV. It triggers him. So he breaks out of Arkham and helps Jessica against the Fatal Five in Portland. Again, another pretty cool action scene. There were a lot of action scenes, like back to back to back in this film.
Yeah.
The Justice League comes, and helps Starboy and Green Lantern from the Fatal Five. Then Batman, Miss Martian, and Jessica go into Starboy's head and learn about the Legion and the Fatal Five.
Yeah, that's where most of the backstory and a lot of the context for all these things that you have questions about are answered, although not nearly enough answers are given.
No, like we don't even know who the characters are in those like memories of Starboys.
Again, unless you come into this movie having a great deal of knowledge about DC and their characters.
Yeah.
Which I didn't. You probably enjoyed this movie a lot more than I did.
I feel bad for you then. Because I didn't really enjoy it at all. Like, I don't know if I came into this like biased against it, because I just wasn't interested in it from even before I saw it. But once I saw it, I was like, I'm going to have to review this now. Awesome. But back to the movie, Mono and Thorak and Persuader, they start bombing Metropolis, which, brings the League out to go save the innocent people. While that happens, Jessica gets a message from Thorak because somehow he's able to hack her Green Lantern ring.
Yeah, her frequency or something like that. Doesn't explain how he's able to communicate telepathically with her unless he's communicating directly into the ring and then the ring is feeding the message into her brain or something. Well, I don't know.
Well, the ring can communicate telepathically with the ring bearer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's how that worked then.
Yeah. Jessica takes the three to Oa because she doesn't want to be responsible for all the innocent death. And she frees Emerald Empress and Validus.
This was my favorite scene of the movie. This action scene with Kilowog and the other Green Lantern guy, I don't know his name.
Salak.
Okay. They were pretty badass. They had a great attitude about them. And like, I really want to see that kind of Green Lantern Corps team up action in a live action movie. If
that
they
would
ever
be
decide
cool.
To reboot
I love the Green Lantern Corps and I love those two characters. And I'm just left wondering, did they fucking die in this film?
They never show what happens with them.
No, they don't.
Like, Jessica Cruz saves herself. She unbreaks her ankle, even though it's like freaking flattened in the rubble. For some reason, it's not later on. And
it's like they
doesn't show her saving them or anything.
No. It's like they have a funeral for Starboy. Where's my freaking funeral for Kilowog?
Yeah.
I'm sure the Corps is pretty pissed off, especially considering that Emerald Empress got away with all of their power.
Right, and they were like off mission on Ran or something like that. So like Ran was probably fucked too.
Yeah, they all died probably.
Jeez.
This movie was just the entire death of the Green Lantern Corps. If you're flying in space, boom, you're dead.
Jeez.
What are you going to do?
You think they'd kick Jessica Cruz out of the Corps for what she allowed.
Exactly. You would think. Just bad writing. During that battle, Persuader like cleaves through Jessica Cruz's power ring, right? And then somehow her oath restores the power ring.
I was wondering about that.
I don't understand why that happened.
It's because the ring is magic? I don't know.
No to all of this. All of it should not exist. The Emerald Empress, stole, again, all the Green Lantern energy. They went back to Earth for the time ship, and she comes up with this plan to destroy Earth's sun, because if she does that, then all of the heroes that came from Earth throughout time will cease to exist. The Justice League and the Fatal Five battle at the site of the time ship, and the Justice League falls, but then Jessica Cruz arrives just in time to go into like full God mode on them.
Yeah.
Which again, one Green Lantern I don't think is a match for the Fatal Five.
She like had lightning quick reflexes. The way she was like dodging all of their attacks and stuff like that. It was like, yeah, near perfect God mode.
It was pretty badass. But also like
unrealistic,
not entirely probable for the characters involved. Jessica brings down that base on top of them. That's the last we see of them. Superman chases the Emerald Eye, but he doesn't get to it in time, so Starboy sacrifices himself to hold the sun together. Again, none of this was necessary. Why? I don't know. The League holds a funeral for Starboy. Miss Martian becomes a League member. So that kind of wraps up that side story.
Yeah.
The Legion comes from the future in more time ships to honor Starboy as well.
Yeah, like, it would have been great if you would have time shipped a little bit earlier in the timeline and helped everybody out.
Seriously.
With fighting the Fatal Five.
Can you go to Oa in the meantime and also help out poor Kilowog?
Exactly.
Damn it.
They should have time jumped to right before Superman and Mr. Terrific opened that other time ship. And
right.
Just avoided that whole thing. It explained to them, this is a time ship with bad guys, don't open it.
They could have time shifted between like Earth and the sun to like stop the Emerald Eye.
That too. They let Starboy die.
They did. They totally did. Like there's so much opportunity and potential when you could time travel. So that's the end of the film. Now, I've seen other reviewers and other, commenters online say how good of a film this was. And honestly, I wanted to like it. There's just no way I can, though. Like, this is not a good movie.
Yeah, when you really break it down, it doesn't compare to other great animated films that we've seen and reviewed on this show. I was surprised, actually, that this movie got made.
Me too. Like, that's what I was thinking. Like, when it was done, I was like, this is a thing that got made. I don't know how or why.
Like, compare it to like a Justice League Dark or a Constantine City of Demons or like the Death of Superman films or something like that.
Yeah.
This was so pointless compared to those other films.
I think, honestly, Bruce Timm just has so much clout with Warner Brothers Animation. It's well-deserved, but again, the stuff he's produced just is not up to the quality of what I remember. It's not up to the quality of what he's done in the past for DC on television. And honestly, like, I'll probably get a lot of hate from DC fans for this, but if they just abandon the Timmverse, like, I don't think that would be the worst thing.
Yeah, it's probably run its course.
We've had so many versions of the DC characters recently that it doesn't bother me to sort of move on from what Bruce Timm had done. And ultimately, I don't think there's any way I could give this film more than 2 stars.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think this is a 2-star film. I think the story is pretty damn lazy. The only redeeming quality it has is probably the action. And the voice cast did a fine job as well, especially for Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. But with how disjointed it feels and how implausible some of the events that transpire during the course of the film are, and especially with how confusing the movie can be sometimes, especially to someone like myself who's not familiar with as much DC lore as you are. And honestly, maybe the movie wasn't meant for me. Maybe it is meant for like real diehard DC fans, but even you said you didn't enjoy it that much.
Yeah, well, I mean, just talking through it made me realize how bad it really, really is. I think at the beginning of this review, I said, it's not a bad film. And I should probably take that back. It's definitely not as good as like The Death of Superman or like Batman Under the Red Hood. There's a lot of great DC animation out there, and this is not one of them.
Yeah, definitely watch those before you watch this movie, if you haven't already watched this movie.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's someone out there who actually really, really enjoyed this film. And if you did, if you've seen it and you liked it, reach out to us and let us know why you liked it, because there may be something that I'm missing here.
Potentially. You could reach out to us via email by writing to dynamicduelpodcast@gmail.com. You could also find us on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, and you can get links to all of those profiles by visiting dynamicduel.com.
And on dynamicduel.com, you'll find a link to our merchandise store, which is on TeePublic. And if you click that link, you'll get a discount if it's your first order.
Yeah, we got a lot of great stuff on there. For this episode, I think Jonathan is going to go ahead and do a no prize with Hawkgirl in it.
Yeah, classic Justice League cartoon character.
And was also in last week's Duel episode against Gamora.
Right.
So timely. In our next episode, it's the one we've all been waiting for. We will be reviewing Avengers Endgame. I really can't wait. Oh, naive me right now who knows nothing about the movie and is going to know all about it next week. Can't wait to talk to you guys about it and hear what you guys have to say about it as well. So definitely tune in next week. Definitely don't watch Justice League versus the Fatal Five.
Yeah, stick to the good stuff. There's plenty of good DC stuff out there.
Yeah, and you can listen to some of our other DC animated reviews by just going through our episode list. Find some of the good ones there.
Yeah. I think that does it for this episode.
Until next time,
Up and away.
true believers.